Good afternoon. I'm Tai Leong, CEO of Kantar Insights Division, Asia Pacific. Thank you for joining us today for the AI Innovators Summit. The summit will start momentarily. Let's give everyone one more minute to join before we kick off. A few housekeeping rules before we kick off. Please submit any questions you have for us in the Q&A window. We will try to address it towards the end, failing which a Kantar expert will reach out to you afterwards. We have included a link to our AI Hub, where you can find all the key resources and thought leadership from Kantar on the topic of AI. All sessions will be recorded and available on demand. Now let's get started. Today is very special for us at Kantar, happening across the globe here in APAC, EMEA, and the Americas. Kantar is bringing our industry-wide experts and some of our most trusted clients to discuss fundamental questions about the relevance and purpose of insights in the AI era. Over the course of the afternoon, we will explore some of the pressing issues that lay ahead for us as an industry and provide a chance to think collaboratively about the big picture issues, challenges, and new opportunities of leading an insights organization in the future. We have a great agenda, from exploring our use of AI to tackle data fraud to ensuring we source the most trusted data from real people. We will share with you how we combine AI and our depth of expertise to develop new and better solutions, and real-world examples of how organizations use them to drive brand growth. We will then close today with a session on how we are using AI to transform how you access insights, allowing the experts to focus on finding the right information fast and effective. We do hope you will benefit from each of our sessions. In the last 30 years, no technology has promised to change everything across a business until AI came along. According to recent Kantar Trend Evaluate 2024 data, consumer interest in AI has exploded with 184% year-on-year growth from April 23 to April 24. AI is also making its presence felt across nearly every industry, from financial services to travel organizations and across varying business disciplines. According to our recent media reactions report, marketeers are more excited about the application of AI to ads, and the difference is even bigger for whether AI-generated ads bother them or not. Only 29% of marketeers are bothered by AI use in ads, while this figure goes up to 41% for consumers. This isn't a trend we can or should ignore. As AI technology continues to advance, it provides an opportunity for new solutions, new marketing channels, and new ways of thinking. For extracting patterns in real time to serving up insights that were once hidden deep within large volumes of raw data, AI is changing the game. Yet, despite all these technological advancements in efficiency, there is a great level of concern. Questions that need to be answered to ensure we, as insights professionals, unlock the power of AI to help our brands transform, accelerate sustainable and comprehensive growth, and not fall to its major risks. At Kantar, we have had the fortune of speaking and hearing directly from clients about what concerns them most in the era of AI. And there are a few questions that resonate with all of us. Is the data we're using and collecting any good? Does AI lead to uncovering consumer truths? How can I use AI responsibly and appropriately? How can I enable AI in my organizations? It's these questions and many others we will set out to answer for you today and get you thinking on the best path forward. We are committed to helping you make sense during this period of rapid transformation. With that in mind, let's kick off the keynote session of the Kantar AI Innovators Summit. I'm delighted to turn our attention to our two esteemed guests. Jane Quek, Global Head, Wealth and Retail Banking Marketing Strategy at Standard Chartered Bank. Jane is a business leader with over 15 years of experience in helping brands grow by harnessing the power of digital data and creativity. Welcome, Jane. And Shuadip Banerjee, Chief Digital Marketing Officer for ITC Ltd. Shuadip has spent 18 years at ITC and has been instrumental in across areas like consumer insights and strategy, media and customer care. Prior to ITC, he has spent over 5 years in Kantar across India and Middle East regions. Welcome and thank you for joining us today, Shuadip.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's start with the panel with a question for both of you. What's your opening thoughts on AI? What's your take and how it impacts what you do in your respective organizations? Perhaps ladies first. Let's start with you, Jane.
Thanks, Chongpai. It's great to be part of this panel. So AI has been on the scene for years, and actually prior to Standard Chartered, I was with Google for 7 years. And in almost every conversation with advertiser, I often talked about AI and predictive intelligence. So if I look at the recent years' evolution, I think it is really generative AI that has reignited conversations once again. And across areas of businesses and marketing particularly, we have seen different use cases for AI specifically. So in banking, we definitely recognize the full transformative potential of AI in the bank's ecosystem, but at the same time, we're also cognizant of the risks, and we carefully apply a set of considerations specific to the use cases that we're looking at, specific to the rules and regulations that we have to comply with. But today, glad to say we have seen various successful examples across different parts of the world, whether it's coming from Standard Chartered or just banking industry in general, in applying AI in different use cases, particularly in improving customer engagement and also streamline operations within the bank's ecosystem. An area where I see we have the biggest benefit, honestly, is really for how we have gone from personalization to hyper-personalization. And what this means is externally for customers, you will be able to see optimized experiences that's tailored for you, financial recommendations that's tailored for you, and these are often delivered in the form of optimized content, whether it's coming from our own channels or paid media channels. But internally, what has made this really possible is really the use of AI, particularly in machine learning and predictive analytics, in mining a lot of the data and leveraging the patterns so that we can continue to be informed about our customer behaviors. And to that, what I mean is that we have been able to go from so-called more from the reactive front to a more proactive front in serving our customers and delivering the one bank propositions.
Thanks, James. I like the fact you said from personalization to hyper-personalization. And what about you, Shuadip, your thoughts?
See, AI, I think is not new. It's been there for some time now. It's no more a tech marvel, is what we feel. It has now become a cornerstone for all our strategic imperatives as a business. It's also helping us redefine what is the value that we can bring to the consumers and hence generate value for the organization and the shareholders and stuff like that. So AI today has now become all pervasive in the way that we look at its role in the business. It's kind of a symphony between, I would say, human minds and machines, as AI is an integral part, not a captain of the ship in some form, which Some of us are actually looking at it and saying, jobs are at stake and stuff like that. But I think it's a dual role, a lot of heavy lifting happening through AI as far as data is concerned and stuff and a few other things. But more importantly, what are we doing with that? So how are we strategically utilizing that and utilizing our bandwidth as humans to improve our business performances? Very broadly speaking, there is an angle, there's a root of efficiency that AI is bringing onto the table. And then there is an angle of value adds that are happening, which is whether in the space of analytics, Jane was talking about analytics and predictive analytics and all of that. So that's one big area. There's also around marketing, and we'll probably through the discussion, we'll have more talks around that. But so it's as integral as your phone that you carry. Changtai.
Yeah, thanks, Shuadip. So as maybe we kind of stay with you, Shuadip. As senior marketeers, how do you think we can leverage AI to drive better and more successful marketing campaigns in your organizations?
Yeah, so I'll touch upon marketing and then we'll double click on that. But just to give you a perspective, Changtai, that while the journey of AI started with manufacturing and we were improving productivity, we were trying to improve our quality standards, whether it's the vision technology, there are various others, or you're using IoT to do predictive maintenance. So there's been a lot of use cases around AI on that. Similarly, as a large conglomerate, and if you're looking at other areas of business, procurement, so at what price we need to buy our different ingredients. So and hence being able to predict becomes another critical area where we use AI. Marketing, of course, and of course, then there is supply chain, there is distribution, every sphere that we talk about in business, we have a lot of use cases. And as we speak, there are some 75 AI pieces of work that is happening in different areas, including hotels and stuff like that. But let's double click on marketing. In marketing, it is through the chain. So right at the beginning, when we are trying to do inciting, so that we don't reach out to Kantar as the first port of call, by the way. We first try to listen to consumers who are already talking on the social space, who are writing blogs, who are writing reviews on e-commerce portals. That's our first port of call, to mine that piece of information. And that's a bunch of AI tools that we are using there. And as you might be aware, India has lots of languages. So it's not an easy one where there's just English, let's say, and then you're trying to do that, right? It's also very, very difficult to transcribe images and videos. Today, as we all know, right, how many words do we write? We tag somebody, we tag something, and we write just a few words. But we express ourselves more through those images and videos. So unless you have a great Gen AI tool to decode that, it's very, very, very difficult to generate insights, right? So those are at play in the organization. I must still confess that the video transcriptions are not the best yet. I think lots of tech evolution needs to happen in that space. Moving ahead, there's some thousands of signals, we get. Where should we tell the organization put their money? So let's say as a food manufacturer, India's largest food and beverage manufacturer, what do you want to do? Where do you want to put your money next? Is a big algorithm that we are working right now as a company. So there's a lot more machine learning, and there is a bit of prediction through AI, but there's a lot of ML there. Moving on, if you see, today we have moved on to something called agentic AI. You talked about me looking after customer care and online repetition. So as the organization increases, the number of packs that you sell in the market grows, so many touch points increases for people to come back to you. Because at the back of every pack, there is a mobile number, there's an email ID, there's a bunch of websites or social media handles that are mentioned. Right? So as that increases, I need to figure out a more smarter way to ensure that we are engaging in the right way with consumers on one side, but we're not increasing a lot of human effort there. So that's another great area where we're using conversational AI today. In terms of pure play marketing, it's obvious that we are using them for creating copies on one side. We're creating creatives. In fact, right from, so what we did is we told somebody that, so we had something called, in Hindi, there was a tagline, and we ended the contract with a celebrity. But we had a beautiful tagline said, "I know what happened last night." Right? In Hindi, when it says, it is actually a Hindi tagline, but in English, if I translate, it says that. And then we asked consumers to finish what happened last night. And with that, we used an AI tool to generate memes. And then we continued to use a bunch of other tools to take those memes and create a video and lyrics and music, all made with only AI. No human intervention. Having said that, that we were just trying to see what all we can do. But today we use Gen AI to create content at scale, but it's a starting point. We use humans to make the difference, the magic happen over and above what AI is providing us. Then media deployment. There's a lot of AI tools that are being used to deploy media. So today, previously we used to have just one creative. Today, for the same campaign, we have around 450 creatives. Now, where should I put the money? Where should I pull back? Is only an AI tool can help me, because it's add into cohort, into platform, and all of that, right? So again, if I mean, and I can keep going on, but I'm just saying, and of course, our real-time customer data platform, we use a bunch of tools from Adobe in our case, called Target, called Sensei, which are all AI-based tools to help you do hyper-personalization and so on. So yeah, so it's a huge number of areas, where we are using AI in marketing.
Yeah, it's really, really impressive, Chuadip. Seems like in ITC, you guys are already doing a lot of so-called experimentation and leveraging AI, right, in marketing and beyond, and in many different areas. So I look forward to kind of learn and hear more from you, in the near future. And what about you, Jane? Yes. Thanks, Chuadip. And Jane?
Yeah. Very much echoing a lot of the examples that Shivadip was saying, right? I mean, if I think about, the past decade of marketing, a lot of brands and marketers can tell you a lot of once upon a time, right? Once upon a time, how much time we will be spending just looking into data and analytics to come up with the right customer segmentation and personas that we can feed into personalized marketing campaigns, and probably at scale, right, at that level. And also how much money and effort we will be pumping into creating original content, or trying to create best-in-class creatives. But a lot of these today, AI has already enabled us to do good marketing in this space. In the world of digital, there is better precision when it comes to smarter targeting to reach the right audiences in the right time. When it comes to content creation, generative AI particularly, right, has enabled us to do much better and help us to also reimagine the possibilities. But if I look at really going from good to great and what is next in terms of leveraging AI to help us to become more successful and better at the way we do marketing, I think across the entire marketing operations value chain, and particularly in large organizations, we recognize that there are different pockets of uplift that we can do as we apply the AI capabilities in general in different use cases, right? Use cases from planning to activation when it comes to campaign execution to the final bits of measurement, and then how you build a feedback loop across the entire chain. So while recognizing the potential uplift in performance and also the potential cost savings, I think the biggest benefit that we can really reap from AI is really in the increased agility and the faster speed to market. And in a complex banking environment, this is particularly important to help us to stay agile and to be more competitive. So in the example that I mentioned earlier, how we have gone from personalization to hyper-personalization, you're essentially looking at bridging two domains, right? The domain of data on one hand, and then the domain of channel experience on the other hand. But the amount of effort and energy and the people that will be required to orchestrate the efforts from analyzing the data, the journey across the various different channels, the customer touch points on a global and local scale, to be able to really do that and to come up with customer segmentation that you can deliver personalized content and translate that to a really cohesive channel experience across your own channels and also paid media channels. That amount of effort itself, right? AI today is doing the heavy lifting for us, right? In the past, it was mainly teams doing the heavy lifting, right? And it took much more time. So the efficiency has helped us to relook at how we can allocate resources better, very much to what Shivandi has talked about, right? And then we truly look at how can we get better ROI and continue to position marketing as a growth driver for the business.
Great. And staying with you, Jane, banking is a highly regulated industry, right, which comes with its own challenges. So what are the challenges you foresee and that you and the industry will have to tackle as AI adoption gets more acceptable?
Yeah. I think banking today, we are definitely seeing much broader, more wider spread kind of use cases, for AI specifically. And in fact, I think industry leading examples, you're talking about 800 AI models being applied in 300 use cases or something across the entire bank. But I think the amount of challenges is really multifaceted. There are two key ones that I would like to call out. Number one being specific to the need to continue to work around the delicate balance between innovating or continuous innovation with AI and also making sure there is continuous regulatory compliance. And striking that delicate balance is not easy. It involves the need to ensure compliance around data privacy and security, ensuring there is fairness and also transparency in the things we do. And last but not least, making sure that there is always a good governance structure, right? And a committee to continue to reevaluate our emerging use cases. The second one that I think we really cannot overlook is the ethical use of AI. AI is only as good as the data that the models have been trained on, right? And the parameters of the data that contribute to the model and the modeling. Typically, in general, is exhaustive, but we cannot rule out that there is always potential in what we call the unknown, right? And in that unknown, being excluded from the data parameters, what will happen is it will lead to some inherent biases in the models, which may lead to some discriminatory outcomes. As simple as, without talking about the banking use cases, if I talk about, AI and marketing use cases, as simple as marketing mix modeling and simulating scenarios for the future, right? Well, when it comes to budgeting or where we spend our media dollars, for example, a lot of the modeling is done on the basis of historical data and where we activated our campaigns before and the channels. But it does not include the potential that we may get from new channels and new formats. So it's really important to making sure that the model is really holistic. But last but not least, it's always humans that's always making the interpretation so that, we consider the nuanced decision around, how we bring from AI-driven decision to real-world application.
Thanks, Jane. Shifting gear a little bit, back to you, Shivandi. What's the biggest challenges you have faced when first adopting AI for marketing insights, and how do you overcome them?
Marketing insights. It was people at ITC who manage and look after insights come with a lot of experience from the insights world. So the first issue that we faced was how could we make them adopt the newer ways of working? So that was the biggest challenge. It was never a challenge of how does this tool work? Am I comfortable with the tool? Do I know exactly the skill sets to prompt it well? It was not about setting up jobs, none of them. Those were all the easy ones. The most difficult one was some people felt that why should this new way of working tread into their territory? It was making some people feel that they're going to protect what they already have. And this is a new thing which is intruding into their world and will make them less important as this tool or machine or even certain cases predictions is going to overrule their skill set, their knowledge sets. That was the fear factor which kept ITC from scaling up the usage of AI in the inciting process. So that was the first one, and it took different ways, sometimes carrot, sometimes stick, sometimes creating a new governance process to make it happen. But as the organization highly believed, and as a company, we always start to invest much ahead of the curve. So our journey on social listening started way back in 2017. Very few tools at that time. We didn't have very good scrapers also. So forget about the social listening tools, etc. But we were also, we never used at that time crawlers and scrapers to collect more data and then merge these data sets and then look at it holistically. So while there was a bit of analytical challenges, etc., but I would still point out that the largest challenge to address was the first one that I talked about. Over time, today at ITC, we have one single team. So what we started with was a separate team, and that team was only doing all the new age learnings, the new age inciting process. Then we felt that it's not going to help. Then we merged the erstwhile inciting team along with this new team, and there is one single team today. And like integrated media planning and integrated media deployment, where you do not classify erstwhile television and today's digital media, inciting has also now become integrated inciting. So, because the more you create these silos, the worse it gets in terms of getting adapted within the company. So, yeah, so if you really ask me this is the biggest challenge that we had to overcome.
Yeah.
And through the hierarchy, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. So there is a recent article by McKinsey, right? It says that by 2030, about 15% of the roles will change because of AI. And Shuad, you kind of talk about, right, with AI and in your organization, there is this fear factor, right, of this change. So to both of you, if you can kind of talk a little bit about, right, kind of how you think about the organization restructuring and the potential reskilling, right, due to AI, and how do experienced marketeers across the heritage brands cope up with this new technology as against the new age businesses, internet tech companies, right, which are born with a different DNA in the age of AI. Maybe, Jane, let's go to you.
Yeah. I think the fact that, AI could bring about changes, efficiency, improve productivity in various parts of a bank. We recognize that, right? We recognize the transformative potential that AI could bring about in changing and improving operations. And what this means is that we also recognize the transformative role in reshaping the workforce. But having said that, the approach that Standard Chartered adopts is very much what we call a skills-powered organization. And fundamental, to this philosophy is the fact that we think it is a technology-enabled environment where, in this instance, it should be AI and the human, right? AI is there to augment a lot of human capabilities, and it helps us to realize a lot more potential that we human cannot do alone. And if you look at it the other way around, essentially we call this a human plus approach, right? So we really look at human being the focus and being at the center, and then we look at what else can we do together with AI, and how can that bring about, whether it's improve efficiency or improve processes or improve productivity in various different parts of the bank. Specific to marketing, what this means is that we are also rethinking about, going from, obviously following the same philosophy, how we can go into a more task-based approach and deconstruct some of the traditional job-based operating model. And when it comes to a task-based approach, what will be valued more will be some of the top ranking skills that are important to the marketing function. So this means creativity, critical thinking, data literacy, as well as also, empathy, right? Which is clearly another skill or attribute that AI has not yet developed to be able to help us to look at decisions holistically. So we're putting increased focus on so-called some of the top ranking skills, and continue to make sure that both the organizations and together with individuals, we're constantly reskilling and upskilling where needed.
Thanks, Jane. I like the human plus approach, where kind of how to leverage AI to do what human alone cannot do. And what about you, Suadip?
So, we have a very, very large conglomerate, and that means it's heavily matrixized company, right? And there are lots of kings of their own kingdoms, right? So, and you have to convince 1,000 people to make the ship move, right? So that's the starting point of the problem statement. So over time, what we've done, we've created something called an acronym TEAM. So the T part of the team starts with training. And, the lovely part of it is that even when a lot of my hair, I've lost a lot of hair and the rest have become white. But I don't know anything better than the person who just left from college and joined us when it comes to generative AI, because I've never learned it. Okay. So previously, as a marketeer, we used to tell them, do this, don't do that. I know it all, etc. Today, we know as much as they do. So this constant aspect of training each other and right through the chain or hierarchy is extremely critical. For example, I think if I'm not mistaken, around 16th, 17th of October, we have a session where there is nothing to do with theory. Everybody's laptop will be loaded with a bunch of AI and Gen AI tools. And all of us, including whoever you are, does not matter. You have to create bots. You have to create video ads. You have to create static ads. You have to write copies on your own using those tools. You have to break the ties, and that's how we're building that learning process. So that's the T part of it. The E part of it, my digital marketing team used to be a separate team in the past. And their job was to do digital marketing, which means make ads, manage the owned assets and all of that, right? Then we started to see this feeling in the organization that, let's say a snack brand that we have, they will have the traditional brand managers, and then we'll say rest of the stuff is yours. And they're not going to talk to each other. So we got the word E called embedded, the way I was explaining insights. So all of these digital marketing team members are now part of the existing brand teams, so that there are no silos. Everybody has to learn and do the new way of marketing. And then comes A, an alignment. Chongtai is very, very critical, right from the chairman of the company. And hence we created something called a digital council, which we made him chair, and make all the divisional chief executive officers part of the divisional council, digital council, while we understood, and we started with how many of you have downloaded ChatGPT? How many of you have a Twitter handle? So we started with that, because when you become CEO, they've kind of got dated with what is happening, but they have to drive the entire digital agenda across the organization. So that was alignment. But the last one is the most important, I think, is measurement. That AI, Gen AI, and whatever is going to come next cannot be shiny tools in the organization. If they're not delivering on my top line, if they're not delivering on my bottom line, if it's not helping me in improving my workforce strength and making it leaner, if required, wherever, then it has no role in my company. And for that to happen, measurement is critical. So that's the M part of it, which is measurement, putting your KPIs right up front, measuring for your hypotheses and assumptions, and seeing whether it works. And then junk some, adopt some, and continue. So I think that's the core philosophy with which we are working in the organization to constantly keep yourself abreast. And there was a small tail question to your question, which say that how can legacy companies fight out these? By the way, we are 120-year-old Chongtai as a company, and we feel that we are an agglomeration of startups. Because, September 15th was my last category launch. So there was a category we launched for people like me, which is 45 plus, and we called it Right Shift. So it is in a state of a new launch, a startup, and we are 25-year-old FMCG business company. So it is always have been through this angle of startup, which keeps us agile, keeps us on the toes. And there are lots of stuff that we learned from these startups, by the way. But I'm just trying to tell you that a legacy company also works with similar agility as that what you perceive a D2C company does.
I absolutely love this Shuadeep, team, right? Training, embedded alignment, measurement, and kind of how you really kind of learn from the bottom, the college students you talk about, and up the hierarchy, and as well as walking the talk from the top, right? Starting from the chairman, of the company, and despite being, over 100 years old and still think about like a startup, right, in the respective units. Really, really inspiring. So thank you so much. So thank you very much to both of you for very thought-provoking and insightful panel discussion. I'm sure, right, there are many questions from the participants. I already received a few. So let me see. This first one for you, Jane. What's your prediction or outlook for 2025 with respect to AI for the banking, financial services, and insurance sector?
Well, I would say if we look at 2025 and beyond, right? Well, at least for 2024, we are seeing different pockets of experimentation, right? Experiments, different use cases starting from different pockets across the value chain of marketing operations and beyond in the bank. I think if you look at the momentum of where coming from adoption to also thinking about the next level of innovation, right, and bringing that all together to what I said earlier, making sure we're also being regularly compliant. I think next year and beyond, we will see a lot more seamless integration across various different parts, and then make it an even more holistic experience for our customers. I was recently listening to a podcast, on a similar kind of a topic in relation to AI, and someone was saying that, if you really think back to the era when smartphone was just launched, right, and when people were, starting to get used to navigating around the touchscreen mode and etc., and all through a single device. I think we're now in more or less a similar era for AI particularly, right, and for banking. But hopefully in the next few years, you're going to see a lot more seamless integration where, things are already fully embedded, and banks and organizations are already, reaping the rewards and benefits coming from the end-to-end transformation.
Yeah, thanks, Jane. This next one for Shuadip. What's your take on data security and fraud in times of AI? How does an organization as large as yours manage breaches and protect consumer privacy?
Difficult one. I think the question should have been to our IT team, and we also asked them the same question. But I'll try to tell you. See, we are very paranoid about all of these what you mentioned. To start with, our first party data, and there's a lot we have been able to collect, not necessarily very rich though, but we've been able to collect a lot of first party data. Jane sits on a lot of rich first party data, by the way, but parking that point. So it's very critical to choose the tech which helps us ensure that the data breach does not happen. Some of the colleagues, including me at times, get very irritated with the kind of rules and regulations that IT brings onto the table. Sometimes we think we are in the era of dinosaurs, but later on when we realize why it is so, I think it's better to be safe than to be sorry, and hence a lot of protection there. Ad frauds, brand safety, these are, and infringements, by the way, trademark infringements. All of them are very critical, all three of them. So we have ensured that all our investments are supported with ensuring that we follow the GARM, the principles, and hence brand safe zones are where our ad should only be aired. And these are also, by the way, AI tools that are deployed. Ad fraud, we have a target of around 1.6, 1.7%. We have not been able to go below that in terms of fraud. When we started, of course, we were at around 14, 15% of fraud investments that was happening, or investments on fraud that was happening. So we've been able to curb that bit along. Trademark infringement is a big one, and this is something which is very scary, especially with deepfake and stuff like that. So this is I think it will evolve as a space, and we'll see where we land on that. The other angle which I think we need to be careful about is how misleading communications can happen through influencers, whether they're virtual or real. And that we need to be careful about, because we spend hundreds of millions of dollars to build very large brands, and they can just get impacted very quickly if we don't take the right steps. So I think in sum, that's how I would respond to that question.
Thanks, Shuadip. Perhaps we have time for one more question. And this one is perhaps for Kantar. I guess that's me. How do you think the consumer insights business will evolve or have to evolve to tackle the challenges brought about by AI?
Good question.
Yeah. Well, AI is expected to significantly impact the consumer insights business for sure by enhancing efficiency and creativity, right? The role of insights has never been more important, right? As we balance between the human intuition and machine capabilities, a topic often emphasized by many of our global clients. So it is a topic really important, where Miralda Dirks, the head of global CMI L'Oreal, has said, AI cannot succeed without human imagination. So AI machines excel at processing vast amounts of data, facilitating search, streamlining processes, and extracting specific information. AI is very dependent on the quality of data, and we've heard some discussions on this, which, for example, Kantar provides, right, to generate good quality, actionable insights at pace. Furthermore, AI machines cannot foster collaboration, creativity, trust, and empathy, all essential elements for innovation. So it's crucial, right, that we all must embrace AI, learn and evolve as we go along. So I'm afraid that's all we have time for. I would like to thank Jane and Shuadip for their time, engagement, and insight. And a sincere thank you to all of you who have taken the time to attend the session. We will now take a 15-minute break, allowing to refill your drinks and a bio break before inviting you back to continue exploring innovation in the world of AI at our upcoming session on the topic of optimizing AI to deliver high-quality data. The global CEO for our Profiles division, Caroline Frankham, will be joined by Carson Liu, Head of Market and Consumer Insights at Thousand Shores Technology. If you have registered, you will have the invite to the next session in your calendar. If you have not, but wish to join us, simply use the link in the console on your screen to join this next session. Thank you, and I hope to see you in a few minutes.
Thank you very much, Jane. It was lovely. John, it was lovely to speak to all of you. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.